Hey everyone, Scorpius here and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most explosive endgame builds in Path of Exile 2, the Gemling Grenadier Mercenary. This build absolutely shreds through endgame content, and if you're tired of one-button builds and want something that'll keep you a little bit more active while playing, then you're in for a treat. In this video we will cover everything that you need, from abilities and support gems to gear, rotation, and of course the passive skill tree. By the end of the video you should be able to quickly clear maps with ease and completely melt bosses like butter. And speaking of melting butter, today's video is sponsored by Factor 75. And fellow exiles, they couldn't have reached out at a better time. We all know those intense PoE2 grinding sessions can lead to some pretty questionable food choices. That's where Factor 75 has been a complete game changer for me. They deliver chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals right to your door that are ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Every week, you can choose from over 35 different options, including keto, calorie smart, and vegan and veggie meals. Perfect for keeping your energy up during those long mapping sessions. What really impressed me is the quality. While we're here min-maxing our builds, Factor 75 is min-maxing their ingredients with premium options like filet mignon and fresh vegetables. Everything is fresh, never frozen, and you can get anywhere from 4 to 18 meals per week and change your plan anytime. As flexible as a well-planned skill tree. You can now get 50% off and free shipping on your first Factor 75 box using my link. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code with your phone. And exiles, by subscribing to Factor 75, not only do you support the channel and help me grow, but you'll also be fueling your own gaming sessions with proper nutrition. That's what I call a win-win. And speaking of winning, let's get back to our new Path of Exile 2 build. In first glance, you might notice that we have quite a lot of abilities, but don't worry, because we don't need to use them all when mapping. The whole point of this build is to make everything explode through our grenades, and to do that we only need 2 main abilities, Explosive Grenade and Gas Grenade. Everything else is there to either stun our enemies or enhance our single and AoE damage. Explosive Grenade fires a bouncing grenade that explodes after a short delay. It converts 80% of our physical damage to fire damage, has 3 uses and a very short cooldown, making it our main damage dealing ability. The support gems that we want on this are Martial Tempo for the attack speed, Fast Forward to reduce the duration, Execute, Inspiration for our mana management, and if you have your full link, we want Mobility for the movement penalty. If you don't have a full link and you feel that you don't have an issue with your mana, then replace Inspiration with Mobility. Gas Grenade is our second most used ability. Just like the previous ability, it fires a bouncing grenade, but instead of exploding, it bursts into poison gas, which stays on the ground for a while. If this poisonous cloud is hit by any kind of burning effect or detonator skills, then it will cause it to explode, which is exactly what we aim to do with the combo of Exploding Grenade into Gas Grenade or vice versa. Doesn't really matter which one you use first, as long as you have the poison cloud on the ground before your Explosive Grenade goes off. The support gems we want on Gas Grenade are Immolate for extra 30% damage on ignited enemies, Scattershot for extra projectiles, Elemental Focus and Primal Armament for extra elemental damage, and Fire Infusion for the extra fire damage. Our next ability though is called Oil Grenade. Similar to the Gas Grenade, Oil Grenade is added to enhance our damage even further. Usually we use this ability for tougher rares and bosses. When you throw an Oil Grenade, it will cover the ground and any enemies it hits with oil. The oil itself slows enemies and applies fire exposure. However, when your explosive grenades go off, then the oil gets ignited, which means that enemies with oil on them will get the Ignite debuff, and oil on the ground will be ignited too, dealing damage to enemies standing on it. The support gems that we want on this are Despoiler, so we can keep the oil for longer, Encumbrance, which will increase the slow debuff on enemies, and Strip Away, which enhances the fire exposure they get from this ability. If you have another slot, that you can also add Maim for extra CC. Regarding our rotation for mapping, Oil Grenade doesn't really change anything. However, if we have a tougher rare or a boss fight, then you want to use Gas Grenade and Oil Grenade on them before the Explosive Grenade goes off. So something like Gas into Oil and Explosive. Or if you're quick enough, you can even do Explosive into Oil and then Gas, because remember, Explosive Grenade has a delay before it gets triggered. Moving on, our fourth ability is Cluster Grenade. And to be honest, even though it's not a primary ability, it has to be my favorite ability in this build. Just like the Explosive Grenade, the Cluster also has a short delay. However, when it explodes, it throws 14 mini grenades all over the place that also explode, causing a massive area of explosive grenades. So using this ability in high dense areas such as Breach is really fun, especially if you throw a few gas grenades before it goes off. The support gems we want on this are Magnified Effect to increase its range, Ingenuity for the cooldown recovery, Payload for the 50% chance of activating it a second time, and Bludgeon to knock back enemies on hit. Next, we have our last grenade, the Flash Grenade. This one unleashes a blinding and stunning explosion when its fuse expires, which is an amazing way to get out of trouble or stop any bosses from using their abilities. The support gems we want on this are Heft and Brutality for extra physical damage, and Overpower and Ruthless for extra stun buildup. This is a very situational ability, but usually you want to use this on bosses or rares to interrupt them or stun them, or even use it if you find yourself in trouble. A great way to reset your positioning, heal up, or run away. Next, we have our one and only aura, Attrition. While active, Attrition increases our hit damage on rares and bosses up to 59%, as well as gives us Calling Strike against them, which allows us to execute them when below 35% health. The support gems we want are Clarity for the mana regen, Precision for extra accuracy, and Vitality for extra health regen. The combination between Attrition and its 3 support gems will be exactly 100 spirit, which is what we get by default from the campaign. The last 2 abilities are in our kit for our boss fight specifically. We've got Flame Wall and Flammability. Flame Wall creates a flame wall on the ground which enhances the damage of projectiles that pass through it. And the support gems we want are Expanse for more area of effect, Spell Cascade to create 2 more walls, and Fire Mastery to increase the level of our fire abilities. Flammability curses all targets in its area, which lowers their fire resistance significantly, which means our fire damaging abilities will deal more damage. The support gems on this one are Heightened Curse for extra effect on the curse, Persistence for its duration, and Arcane Surge for extra cast speed and mana regen. So your rotation for mapping should look something like this: gas and explosive grenades for 80% of your mapping, all grenade in between those two in case you're fighting tougher monsters, cluster grenade with gas grenade on high density situations such as Breach, and flash grenade if you're in trouble or you want to stun your enemies. Your opening for bossing should be 2 or 3 gas grenades into 1 oil grenade, into flammability on the boss, flame wall, and finally explosive grenades, which will trigger the gas and the oil too. Our goal on the boss is to stack them up with all the goodies before exploding them with multiple explosive grenades. Moving on to our gear, there are approximately 5 stats that we want to prioritize as much as we can. Physical damage and or fire damage, maximum life and or mana, resistances, mana regeneration, and strength. These stats are our base focus on as many items as we can possibly get, with the addition of a few other important stats as well. For example, on our crossbow, we want to get as much physical damage as we can since our grenades convert it into fire damage. We also want to get as many levels of projectile skills as possible, attack speed, and of course, strength. Our helmet has evasion, maximum life, mana, and as many resistances as we can get. For the chest, you can use the unique called Cloak of Flame, which will significantly reduce the physical damage that we take while giving us a huge boost on our fire resistance. You can also look for a normal chest piece with the stats that we mentioned earlier. The gloves have evasion rating, flat fire damage, maximum life, maximum mana, attack speed, and resistances. The belt has maximum life, maximum mana, strength, and resistances again. Similarly, the boots should have maximum life, mana, resistances, and of course movement speed. The rings have flat physical and fire damage, maximum life, strength, resistances, and as much mana regen as we can find. And lastly, the amulet has almost the same stats as the rest with as much chaos resistance as you can get. For the amulet anointment, you either want to go for step like mist or acceleration. Regarding the runes on the gear, you can go with any resistances that you're not capped with. So at this point, our abilities, support gems, and gear are all set and done. The last thing remaining is our skill tree. Of course, you can just copy paste my tree, but it would be better to understand what we're speccing into so that the whole build can make sense. Firstly, you should know that you can play this build as both a Gemling Legionnaire and a Witch Hunter. Both will work perfectly fine with this build, but today we're going for the Gemling Legionnaire and our points will go to enhance effectiveness so we can double our bonuses from the attributes, and Thaumaturgical Infusion, which will increase our maximum resistance for all elements based on the support gems that we add. The default resistance cap is at 75%, but with this and a few other nodes, we will be able to increase the 75% to almost reach a 90% maximum resistance. Thaumaturgical Infusion is the only reason that we tried filling in as many abilities and support gems as we could in our build. With that in mind, we can even go ahead and add a few extra support gems on our crossbow attack, which is something we will never use. Putting a few extra red gems in here will increase our max fire resistance further. Regarding the rest of the tree, we're focusing on as much attack damage, speed, and grenade damage as we can by getting all of these nodes right here, the whole circle over here, nodes like Mass Hysteria, Feral Force, and Bestial Rage. We also aim to increase our attributes too with getting half of the star at the bottom while also going for beef and everything around it. We also focus on a lot of defensives with nodes such as Feel No Pain, Relentless, Unbending, and of course maximizing our resistances further with Prism Guard. Lastly, we want to get as many jewel slots as possible. On the jewels, we want to aim for emeralds, mostly with stats like attack speed, attack damage, and attack speed and damage on crossbows, as well as finding some emeralds with increased movement speed and projectile damage. You can also find 1 or 2 rubies with increased fire damage, life regen, as well as maximum fire resistance too. And with that out of the way, we've covered everything you need to know about the Gemling Grenadier Mercenary build for Path of Exile 2. This explosive build offers an incredibly engaging playstyle while maintaining solid clear speed and boss damage. I've been having a blast testing this build during my mapping sessions, and speaking of which, don't forget to check out Factor 75 using my link in the description. Their quick, healthy meals have been perfect for those long farming sessions, and you'll get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. If you have any questions about the build, gear choices, or skill tree pathing, don't hesitate to leave a comment down below, and as always, I'm gonna try my best to reply to each and every one of you. For more build discussions and theory crafting, join our Discord community. We've got dedicated channels for sharing optimization tips, answering questions, or anything like that for each and every class. If this guide helped you out in any possible way, consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more Path of Exile 2 content. Thank you very much for watching. Here are 2 more videos that you might enjoy. See ya on the next one. Peace.